Well, friends, it was almost exactly 3 months ago that I sat at this very desk. Well, that's not true. I got some new office furniture and I've rearranged, so it's slightly different. But I sat at my desk and I clicked on QuickTime to record a video and thought, I don't know what this will lead to. I don't know really why I'm doing this, but I think something like this is needed during this time. It's been a long 3 months, hasn't it? And I thank you so much for tuning in and for taking part in our daily video reflections that we've had over these last 3 months. I thank you so much for all those that participated in recording those videos and put up with my annoying little emails and prompts and reminders to get your video in so that we can send them out. I don't know about you, but I've been incredibly encouraged and challenged and refreshed by these videos. I just feel so thankful for everyone that's taken part in them. This does mark the last official daily reflection video, although I don't get the last word, which you'll appreciate. It's going to Sarah and Shelley as they'll do one final daily reflection video, SNS show tomorrow with a bit of a montage from the last 3 months. This also doesn't represent a change in what's going on in meeting in person at the churches. In fact, all three churches that have been meeting together, Hope for Life, Ross Carrick, and Oak Park, will continue to meet together in the same way, recorded services broadcast live on Sunday mornings until September. And so in fact, we're actually just a little bit over halfway through this season. And so I ask that you keep praying and leaning into the fact that we can gather again in September as we previously did on Sunday mornings. But I also want us to recognize what a special time that it has been. That these churches that wouldn't necessarily get to do something like this have been able to hear different voices, be challenged from different perspectives, learn what it's like to put up with each other at least a little bit. Sometimes it's even a little bit easier to do that online than in person. And we don't want this to end. We want our cooperation to continue on. And Tim and Kelly and I are committed to doing that. That some ways in mission in this part of our city, we will find ways to cooperate and extend this partnership beyond this. In that very first video in the middle of March, I talked about 3 ways that we can act in the world, and especially 3 ways that sort of get heightened during times of crises. The first way is the exploitative way, that people will take advantage during times like this. And unfortunately, we've seen this over and over again during these 3 months. In fact, in some ways, we've seen sort of a much more serious conversation evolve. We've gone from talking about exploiting toilet paper at Costco to talking about the need for real, serious engagement with racial reconciliation and what that looks like in Canada and that conversation. We also talked about how most folks will aim to endeavor to act ethically. So not exploiting, but ethical. And how that's good, but actually that's not even the whole thing of what the gospel calls us to. The gospel calls us to even more than just acting justly or fairly in the world. The gospel calls us to an extravagant form of action, an extravagant form of love. And I thought I would come back here because it's so appropriate as we approach Father's Day this coming Sunday that we talk about that same verse that we brought up in that first video. That verse is John 3:16, maybe the most famous verse in all the New Testament. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, whosoever shall believe in him will not perish, but have eternal life. And again, I want to come back to that very same point, that God the Father, Father from all eternity to the Son, was willing to send his Son into the world, very deliberately, very purposefully, knowing what would unfold for the Son. And the Son's willingness to go in obedience to the call of the Father. That this was his mission, that he came to live and teach, but he came to die. And it was hard this year as we marked and celebrated the Easter season, and we weren't able to gather. We weren't able to raise our voices together. We weren't able to celebrate the fact that the grave has been defeated. But now in this time of spring, almost into summer here, we again are reminded of new life. That up from the brown, dead ground of winter comes colorful life, green life, lush, full life. And so I hope that you've been challenged with the sermon series that we've been doing together, Cultivate, Growing in Spiritual Maturity. I hope you can go back and watch some of those messages and be encouraged to really tend to the soil of your life. That when you're tending to the soil of your life, when you're working on the rhythms and the practices and the habits and the rules of life that sort of keep you on track, that build a trellis so that the vine of God can grow and can flourish, so that, and remember that, so that the fruit of God can be produced in your life. And upon bearing that fruit in your life, you can share it. You can give it to a world in an extravagant way, a world that so desperately needs that kind of fruit and love in our world today. Friends, I hope you take that challenge up this summer, that you continue to push yourself and challenge yourself and remind yourself that it's only in the love and the grace of God. He is the first one who has acted in this extravagant way of sending Jesus Christ to the earth for us and for our salvation. So again, as we close these reflections, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the kind and encouraging words. Thank you for being challenged by listening to a diversity of voices. May you be blessed during this summer season, and may you dive into our next series, A Summer in the Psalms. Blessings.